This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Every year, as most of you know, politicians, musicians, entertainers, business owners, the who's who of the people we're supposed to look up to and try to strive to be like, the rich and the elite. In other words, the scum of the earth, meet in the Bohemian Club in Bohemian Grove in Northern California. And once again, the meeting has occurred or is occurring right now in Northern California. But what's sad to see and what's sad to say is that they've gotten exactly what they wanted. Now, most of you are aware that over the years, many people would go up there, especially recently, and protest, have megaphones, would try to get in there, would try to fight against this stuff. But they have desensitized people so much to these secret clubs and these secret meetings that just like this article says about this year's Bohemian Grove, about it's quiet up there, which I'll get into and I'll read some of the clips from the article, about how nobody showed up, there's no protesters, there's nothing going on, and the elites are just up there doing their rituals, doing their cremation of care, bringing in, all sorts of entertainment, which we all know what that means, the type of entertainment that they bring in. Just the sickest things you could possibly imagine. But what they've done over the years is they've desensitized people to Bohemian Grove. One of the reasons that, video footage leaked, wink, wink, the whole Alex Jones cremation of care video that everybody was like, oh, he snuck in a care. None of that stuff would ever happen, would ever allowed, they would never allowed it to happen. It was all part of a plan to show people, to desensitize them from it. Because they knew with technology and the way things were going that eventually people are going to have access to all types of stuff because there's going to be cameras everywhere. People are going to have everyone has a camera on their phone and all the type of technology, like the advancements, and people are flying drones over places, that people would be able to find out that this stuff occurs. So they began desensitizing everybody from this stuff. It started with Jones and showing the rituals there. Then it went to stuff like ABC News covering the secret societies at Skull and Bones and, the leaked footage from there. And it continued on to Netflix series showing Bohemian Grove and talking about Bohemian Grove, and all these politicians like Bill Clinton bringing up Bohemian Grove and going, oh, you mean the place where, all these guys get in the woods and wear robes and pee in the bushes? And that's how it goes from people being bothered by it, pissed off about it, and wanting to do something about it, to now where no one's doing anything. And I'm not saying this complaining, because obviously I could look at myself and say, hey, how come I'm not up there doing something? Or how come all of us together didn't get together and go up there and protest? I'm talking about looking at it from the perspective of the rest of society, the rest of the people out there who were uproaring over this stuff for many, many years, and how now suddenly nobody seems to care about it anymore because everybody's been desensitized to it. They go, oh, whatever, they're going to do it every year. They've been doing it. They've been getting away with it, whatever. Nothing's going on. Meanwhile, they're up there planning, what events are going to occur, what they're going to do with the economy, what fear they're going to push, how they can keep pushing, agendas onto children and brainwashing them, how they can keep dumping chemicals on us, how they can keep making us more depressed and sicker and give us more anxiety. That's what they're up there doing. This article says no demonstrators, no picketers or conspiracy theorists line Bohemian Grove or the Bohemian Highway. No banner-wielding protesters marched across the Monte Rio Bridge with California Highway Patrol officers on motorcycles controlling traffic. No leaflets fluttered on card tables at the Monte Rio Amphitheater. And Mary Moore, the Camp Meeker political activist who founded the Bohemian Grove Action Network 38 years ago to draw attention to the Bohemian Club's political and corporate connections, was nowhere to be seen. It was peaceful. In other words, just like the Bohemians like it. But a far cry from past years when protesters attracted hundreds of demonstrators assailing the Bohemians for perpetrating the ills of the world. Okay? So, this article goes on and it just talks about how nobody's up there. And then you could see another article showing us that Bloomberg, Kissinger, again, Kissinger, 95 years old. This guy's probably more active than most of us, right? Wonder what he's feeding off of. Oh, wait, we do know what they feed off of. It says the future was the focus of the first, what they had was a poolside cocktail summit starring Henry Kissinger, it says, Mike Bloomberg, and George Shultz. It says Kissinger visits most summers for the annual encampment at the Bohemian Grove. And since the days of President Herbert Hoover, Shultz now holds the club record for the most lakeside camp talks ever delivered to gathered Bohemians. And you can see here that they're having like this, event outside of it, which is what they do up in Monte Rio. You can see this woman, look at her, wearing this hat on her head with Henry Kissinger and these, tarot cards, and it says Beach Blanket Babylon, right? They're always referencing scripture, always referencing Babylon, and I mean, it's unbelievable, right? And then people out there who are atheists or don't believe in any of this stuff, they see it, they're like, oh yeah, well, what could they mean by Babylon? Oh, you're overthinking it. Oh, you're just being a Bible nut, right? It says the party celebrated Kissinger, who turned 95 in May, with the Beach Blanket Babylon song penned by producer Joe Schumann Silver. And then it said George Shultz, as well as others, conversated about the same things that I talked about and many people talked about with the Bilderberg meetings this year. It looks like there was the same stuff that they're talking about, up at Bohemian Grove this year. At least that's what they tell you, right? They just give you a list of, climate change, jobs, artificial intelligence, our nation's fiercest foes, Russia and China and Canada. It says, I mean, it's unbelievable. It says Canada actually in this article, which is okay. The post-World War II world. And then they go on to talk about how Kissinger was even partaking in astrology readings and tarot card readings. And they couldn't believe he was so open to his numerology reading. They said, oh, and when George pulled a card from my tarot deck, he randomly chose the King of Cups, which is the messenger of love. How ironic, right? And they talked about palm analysis and aura readings. I mean, all this new age crap that they're just kind of pushing into there. This is at Kissinger's party outside of the Grove in Monte Rio. But Kissinger was up there with Bloomberg, with Shultz, with Kennedy. It's also been reported that retiring Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy took center stage at the Bohemian Club up in the Redwood Forest to give a speech. But then, of course, since it's the San Francisco Chronicle, right, and they're trying to report on it as if it's like a left versus right thing. Oh, it was mixed reactions because there were some liberals in the crowd at Bohemian Grove and some conservatives, and some don't agree with Trump. I mean, this just shows you how this propaganda works, right? And not only do they desensitize people from these secret meetings and these secret groups, now they're actually writing about some of the stuff that's talked about at the Grove, so that people actually think that these people are going up there and they're talking about the left and the right, and they're talking about Trump, and they're talking about politics and what needs to be done. Well, all these guys are all brothers. They're all part of the same secret clubs. They're at the secret club that they're all a part of. They're all wearing robes, walking around, taking leaks in the woods, so they claim. They're all helping each other take leaks in the woods, I'll tell you that much. They're doing a lot more than that at the all-boys club up at the Bohemian Grove. But this just shows you that they want propaganda leaked from these secret meetings now, because just like the stuff I've been talking about with Masons, how it's becoming mainstream, how, oh, it's not a secret anymore, because they can't hide it anymore. We've all been exposing it. So it said, oh, well, they're coming out now. They feel discriminated against. They want to tell us who they really are. You're going to see the same stuff with Bohemian Grove, with Bilderberg. They're going to come out and they're going to go, whoa, they already released the stuff they supposedly talk about to try to get people to think that that's what they really talk about when it's not. And they come out and they go, oh boy, there was a little controversial up there. It says Kennedy used the Bohemian Grove appearance to talk about both the history and the future of the High Court. And the response from the conservative group of campers was very tepid, we're told. There was polite applause and a lot of people didn't clap. And a lot of this has to do with political views and stuff with Trump, right? It says, in contrast, over the Owl's Nest encampment, we're told TV pundits Chris Matthews, David Gergen, and David Brooks lit up the crowd. So you have Chris Matthews there, David Gergen, and David Brooks. And it says, when Brooks lamented loss of honesty, truth, and civility, during the Trump era, calling it a disaster and a threat to democracy, that Trump is a threat to democracy. The entire camp erupted into applause, right? And this is also to play into that, oh, Trump is against all of these elites and all these guys, these big corporate elites, these people of all, of industry. Oh, yeah, right. And they just happen to let him get into power. Right? This is the narrative you're going to see now from these secret societies, these secret groups, and these secret meetings. They're going to continue to give you a complete, right hook when it's really, you should be looking to the left. Because they want to blindside you. They want you to not think, the core of all of this stuff that they do is Satan. Okay? And that makes people like me, they go, oh, this guy's crazy. He's talking about Satan? Oh, yeah, they love the big red guy with the horn. They want you to picture this crazy, cuckoo, cocky, nonsense. When in reality, it's the truth, but they've created that, right? From all the television programming, make us all sound like we're crazy and we're nut jobs. But they want to have the theme and the narrative of these meetings be about the left and the right, because that's the thing they want everyone to continue to be trapped in, the left-right paradigm, right? And that's why they have the Cernoviches of the world and all these frauds who are part of the alt-right, who think that they're lumped in with people such as myself and the listeners of this channel. When in fact, that's not true, because we know this is not a republic, and it hasn't been for a long time, if ever. And we know for a fact that this is the illusion of freedom. Now, I know people will say, that's not fair. Look at all the stuff that's going on in Trump, and they just keep attacking him. That's how mind control works. They want you to think that that's your hero, that's your knight in shining armor, and he's going to come in and do the job and get rid of these elites and drain the swamp. When in fact, the only hope that any of us have is Jesus Christ. That's the only hope. And nobody should be putting hope in man. So again, these are the things that are going on up there. The same old farts like Kissinger still making their way up there. Now that they've desensitized people so much from this stuff, no one's showing up, no one's protesting. And they're actually reporting on stuff discussed at the Grove. Think about that. When's the last time you saw an article, if you're somebody who's been awake for a while, when's the last time you saw an article where they were releasing information on what was discussed at the Grove? The only thing that anyone's ever seen, really, is the cremation of care thing that Alex Jones put out, which was propaganda, which, like I said, was put out to desensitize people. But now they're releasing stuff about how the crowd reacts to Trump speeches, the people who are actually speaking, which sometimes you'll find out some of the people and the attendees who were there. Because, I mean, they can't really hide it if they're pulling up and people have cameras in their faces. This is the future now. This is becoming normal. So people aren't going to be outraged by these secret meetings, and they're going to go, look, they're even telling us what they're talking about there, call for an uprising. They're even telling us what they're saying. So it's not so secret anymore, right? Because all they have to do is feed people a bone. And if the bone is the left, right, and all the stuff that they think is really going on, then the people will take it and eat it. When in reality, this isn't what's really going on. You want to know what's really going on up there? Children are brought in cages up there, okay? Brought in cages. There's real human sacrifice ritual. You think the cremation of care is a doll that they burn? And they all go up there just to watch them burn a doll? This is a massive, massive satanic ritual that occurs every year. And in addition to that, while these people are doing all sorts of disgusting, perverted acts for weeks on end up there, they're planning our demise. But instead, what they'll tell you is they're talking about Trump and politics and the left and the right and the economy and climate change. And people are going to continue to go, oh, yeah, that's really what they're talking about, and think that we're crazy because they want this stuff out there now because nothing is going to be secret anymore. So what they have to do is say, okay, you're right. We have these secret meetings, but they're not secret anymore because now we're going to tell you. We're going to report on it and tell you what's talked about. And people are going to eat it up and they're going to become desensitized. And it's just going to keep being normalized in our society. So Bohemian Grove, again, goes by without a whimper, which is just really sad to see. But this has been their plan. Anyone with discernment has been able to see this for quite some time. From talking about it on House of Cards and all these shows, and having Jones's film footage in there. Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't have gotten whacked for that, right? I'm sure they don't have enough security. Oh boy, he was just able to sneak it in. I mean, give me a break. This is the new world we live in, folks. People are going to be talking about Bohemian Grove now like it's a normal thing, but a good thing. Hey, the politicians are going to meet up at the Bohemian Club. Oh, they're just going to talk about some stuff, and people are going to go, oh, okay. Oh, sure. Oh, They're not going to go, how come all these editors from all these newspapers and media outlets are there? Then all of these talk show hosts like Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Kimmel and the rest of them. And then you got like the owner of Pepsi and the owners of Fortune 500 companies. Then you got politicians. Then you got musicians popping up. And of course, the owners of or CEOs of record labels. Kind of a weird mix, wouldn't you think? Oh, it's all the influencers, right? Because they're the ones who are influencing the fake reality that people are living in. And it's really sad state. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.